Hello, lovely people. New adventure unlocked. I'm headed to the next game. My mama's here. We're going to Aqua Zumba. I am getting out of my comfort zone. I am trying fencing today. I'm just there for the vibes. I know nothing about baseball. I'm there for the vibes. Hello, lovely people. Listen, Linda, listen. This was a good episode. I don't have any complaints. The girls they're stepping it up. So I am reviewing season 10, episode 8, Pride and Pettiness. Whoo boy. So we are at Pride Parade. So we start off with the bar where Keiarna trying to be messy, but I like it. Keiarna was like, oh, well, haven't you been dating Chris Samuels? And Stacey, of course, I don't know what you're talking about. And Monique, very classy. Monique was like, well, I mean, we've been divorced for 2 years. I would expect him to date. And Keiarna kind of like, oh, well, that backfired. I was like, oh, Keiarna, that did not go as you planned, right? That's how you know somebody is really over someone. Because Monique was like, in her confessional, which I did not like her confessional look because that goth look, I was not feeling it. Monique was like, listen, I divorced the man. I don't want him. But as long as she's good with children, because guess what? They got 3 children, and she chuckles. I said, yeah, she don't want that man. She's so over him. And she can be in the space and do her thing, and she don't give a damn. But anyway, yes, that's how you know you are over a person. So they talk about Stacey and her appropriating the Nigerian culture. Yes, I said appropriating because she was like, they basically was like, okay, Stacey, this feels like a money grab. Angel was like, this feels like a money grab. And Wendy basically checked and was like, if you're going to basically appropriate the culture, you need to say the word correctly. She was pronouncing it Shayo, but it's pronounced Cheyenne or something like that. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it correctly because I'm not in the cannabis business. And then Stacey going to say, yes, I expect my Nigerian sisters to correct me. They are not your Nigerian sisters. And Angel made a good point. There's a difference between heritage and genetics, okay? Anyway, Tia, who's also a Nigerian princess, says, we don't claim Stacey because in Nigeria, the men pay us. We don't pay them. I said, the way I cackled at that, she said, yes, honey, we don't pay for men. They pay for us. Oh, I love that. Anyway, so Angel tried to tell Stacey whatever. Stacey dismisses her. Angel's like, oh, if you're not going to be classy, you're going to dismiss me. Sorry, Angel. Everybody kind of always dismisses you. Anyway, can I say something? I really like Grace. I want her to talk more. You can look, when you see Grace's facial expression, you can tell that she has a lot to say, but she just does not say it. But I would love to hear Grace talk more, okay? She's grown now. Let her have a scene or two where she's talking, but she seems a little bit on the quiet side. So they're on the GNA floor having a good time. As she's talking about being a bisexual, I mean, I think it's because Ashley is so over-sexualized. It's just kind of like, okay. Anyway, so Gizelle didn't even know that they had a GNA float, right? And then Wendy's like, we went from a fashion brand to yoga on the rooftop to like what's going on? Who's in charge of GNA? Anyway, so after the parade, they go to a restaurant and they're like, Wendy's like, well, Monique, a lot of things has changed with you since you've been back in the group. And she was like, yeah. And they were like, because the last time we saw you, she was like, we had an image, okay? He was not loving her properly. They flashed back to when Monique would say that every time it was her birthday, they would get into these huge fights. And Gizelle was like, well, could it be because your birthday is about you, it's not about him? Ding, 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 ding. And then basically they also flash back to Monique telling Chris, we don't date. If we date, I have to arrange, the date nights, and it's getting exhausting. That does get exhausting after a while. Okay, she got 3 kids to manage, and she got to plan dates for you. Come on, Chris. I do like Chris. He seems like a really good guy, but he just seems content and comfortable. Okay, and that always causes problems. I would love to see Monique's kids though. The last time I saw the kids in person, I said in the last episode, we used to be a part of the same height group. And she brought her kids and her dogs, and her kids are so adorable, so well behaved. Kids are so well behaved. So she's doing a great job. She basically talks about how, anytime he would get a piece of some from her, he would just roll over, wouldn't really satisfy her. And she told him, "You will never enter me again." And I guess he's never entered her again. Right? Now, as she's telling her story, you see Stacey just kind of quiet, smiling, listening, right? Who knew what she was going to do with that information later? But basically, she said she felt like she was a piece of meat, And she also said that she feels like the girls added years to her marriage. Why? Because she shifted her focus from arguing with Chris to arguing with the girls. And it kind of like, when she was arguing with the girls, it almost seemed like it made her and Chris a little bit closer because it gave them a common enemy. All right, so that's over. We're back at Angel, and Angel and her husband are looking for a home. The home that they were looking at looks beautiful. I'm like, where is this? Is this Maryland? Is this Virginia? Is this DC? Where is this home? Looks so beautiful. Love the yellow planters in the front of the house with the tall plants. So beautiful. Now, they even talk about, the backyard is nice for wine and weed Wednesdays. Okay, what y'all be up to? I mean, I don't indulge in the marijuana, but I don't judge. Sounds like a fun time. So again, Angel's talking to her husband, and Angel's still focused on Wendy. She feels like Wendy threw sauce on the whole catfishing comment. Angel, that was a few weeks ago. We still can't get over that. I thought you expressed in different ways how you felt. I'm very confused. What is happening? Anyway, so let's go back to Jizzy. So Jizzy is having lunch with Ashley, Keiarna, and Tia. I actually don't mind this group of girls. I think they're cute together. Gizelle tells the girl that her podcast, Reasonably Shady. Have y'all listened to her podcast before? I have never listened to her podcast. I might hear clips from other YouTubers talking about their podcast, but have I actually said to myself, let me go on the wherever, the Apple, whatever, and listen to that podcast? No, especially because I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. Anyway, so they've had 1 million downloads. Congrats to them. That is amazing. And they're even nominated for a NAACP Image Award. So she is hyped. So Jizzy is we're going to throw a party. Listen, I am a fan of throw a party to celebrate yourself. Kudos. Job well done. And then I was thinking, oh boy, this means we get to see Robin. Okay. Anyway, I'll give my thoughts about Robin later. Anyway, so come to find out that per Cookie, remember Cookie is Cameron's friend, when they had the girl talk where Monique was talking about her and Chris Samuel, somebody went back to Chris Samuel and ran their mouths verbatim what Monique said, okay? Trash talking about how bad the sex was. So they're like, who told him? And Keiarna's Stacey was talking to Chris Samuel. So it seems like Stacey you a non-girl code having self. You are so foul. If it's true. Oh gosh, I really try to give Stacey a benefit of that, but she's just so conniving, so backstabby. A female woman like that, you gotta watch your back. You gotta keep one eye open for them, because they will envy what you have and turn around and copy you. She's just all the signs of a terrible friend. May a friendship never find me like that. Anyway, so they say that Cookie does not like Stacey, okay? And and Giselle's well, Cookie's gonna be at my I'm about to say GNA, at her Reasonably Shady party. So it's gonna go down, okay? Because somebody is lying or whatever. I believe Cookie. All right, so let's go to finally, this was a scene that I was really excited to see, which is Wendy and Monique, okay? Wendy comes in slaying per usual. Monique looks cute. And this is a good meetup because remember, in 5 years ago when Monique was leaving, Wendy was coming in. So they never really got a chance to really know each other. Okay. So they meet up with each other, and Wendy's like, I feel like this is a new kind of like start for us, And Monique tells Wendy that Wendy was the first one to reach out to her after the fight. That's really interesting because if you remember, Wendy and Candace were friends, right? And in public, Wendy seems to be telling Monique like, yeah, you're wrong and you're not remorseful. Remember, she said you're not remorseful. So it was kind of surprising to hear that Wendy reached out to Monique. And maybe she just reached out to Monique because she was just trying to be nice, but still had Candace's back. I don't know. So Wendy almost looked like she forgot that. She's like, oh, yeah, huh? Anyway, so Monique asks Wendy, so what's your friendship like with Gizelle? And Wendy actually says, our relationship have changed a lot and I actually consider her a friend. Wow, how quickly times change. All right, cool. And Monique looks surprised. And Wendy tells Monique, you all need to have a conversation. And Monique's like, yeah, we do. And Monique admits that, hey, look, back in the day, if you came for me, I'm going for your whole jugular. I'm taking your block off. But Monique was not wrong with what happened between her and Gizelle. Gizelle started it first. Okay? If you rewind the tape and you go back, Monique was talking about how they're in the process of between homes, they're transitioning. And Gizelle goes, oh, you don't have a home? So that's shady. So of course, Monique came back with, I have 4 homes. That was the start of everything. That was the start of everything. Anyway, so they talk about Cookie and come to find out, first they talk about Karen. And Monique basically says, like she hasn't really talked to Karen like that, and Wendy's like, well, Cookie is the one that's been giving us information about Karen because Cookie and Karen are best friends. Well, come to find out that Cookie knows Karen because of Monique. Monique introduced them to. So that's very interesting, right? But you can tell Monique does not fool with no Cookie. She called her a demonic entity. Okay, so I'm wondering, because Monique is very good friends with Chris Samuels. So I'm wondering, did Monique interfere with the Samuels marriage? Was she too much of a close friend for Monique's comfort, where maybe she was meddling in their business? Because you have friends like that. You have friends that they're friends with both the couple, but maybe they don't have any boundaries. They don't know their place. I have a feeling that's the type of friend that Monique, that Cookie was. Because for Monique to say, yeah, I stay far away from her. And she called Cookie a liar. She said they had she met Cookie at Chris Samuel's birthday party. They had the godfather of Go-Go, Chuck Brown. And then Monique said she was his daughter. Come to find out that, that's a lie. Monique is like, he's no kin to you. But I wonder if it's one of those things they grew up in the same neighborhood and she was like a play daughter. Because why would you lie about something like that? That don't make no sense. Anyway, but I do have a feeling that Cookie probably did not know her place in the Samuels marriage. Now, Monique says she's met the girls. The girls seem passive, i.e. they're not clocking in for work. That's why I'm probably here. Because remember, Karen is gone. Karen and Jizzy, I would say they carry Potomac. Now Karen's gone. So Monique is here. And basically that's what it means. Oh, and Monique warned Wendy about Stacey. Monique told Wendy she is trying to be you. And basically Monique is trying to warn Wendy to say, you need to have some discernment, sis. Have some discernment. And Wendy, she's right. Okay. So now we go back to Stacey and Thiemo. That's his name. Is it Thiemo? No, it's not Thiemo because that's what Jizzy called him. Thiemo? Thiemo. I think his name is Thiemo. Anyway, so they're going to Arabella's swim practice, right? So did they tell Arabella that they're back together because they were cuddling while she was swimming? Or do they just act like they're not together when she's not looking, be all affection and stuff? Listen, good for Stacey because TJ looked like he would not touch her with a 10-foot pole. Now you got Thiemo that's hugging her and being affectionate. That's great. She said there was a drought. Now it's raining. Wonderful for her. That's great. So Tia comes to Arabella's swim practice, and Stacey basically says that, I am not comfortable with, or Thiemo is not comfortable around the girls, right? Because of all the crap that they've talked about. Listen, I can understand it. Sometimes you've got these spouses that are just like, look, this is your thing. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, right? So you can't blame the guy. Not all guys are like, you want to jump into it. But at least he'll shoot a scene. Sometimes you have some husbands or you have some boyfriends that don't even want to shoot a scene. And that's a problem. Like, look at Robin and Juan. You could tell he didn't want to be there. He got caught on a hot mic a time or two. It just was a disaster, right? But the problem is the lies. Because Tia is like, oh, we wanted to do a triple date with you and me and Wendy and our husbands. The man said he flies out tomorrow, so he's going to be out of town. And so Tia's like, oh, okay, well, I understand. And then Stacey basically tells Tia, well, you're the first and the only person that I will let meet Thiemo because I trust you, etc., etc. Okay? So now you have Wendy and Tia and their husbands out at dinner. They look cute, Nigerian couple. Well, Tia's husband is not Nigerian. So Eddie and Tia have a little banter about who's more Nigerian. Tia grew up in Nigeria. Eddie's visited Nigeria, right? It was cute. Wendy looked good. The finger waves, she's lost weight too. The leather dress. I mean, Wendy looks so good. So good. Now, but here's the thing. Tia basically says, oh, he couldn't be in town, so Thiemo couldn't be in town. So, oh, so sad, blah, 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 blah. But Tia basically tells Wendy, she said, like, I'm the only person that she feels comfortable, safe with. And Wendy in her confession was like, wait a minute. The girl who has not had your back? The girl who has not defended you? What are you talking about? So Wendy, being a producer, says, let's call Stacey. You call Stacey, guess who's in the background? Thiemo. I thought you said he flies out of town the next day. But then she goes, he just flew into town. Wait a minute, the girl just saw you yesterday. So did he fly out and then a few hours later flew in? I mean, when I tell you the lies is just, and it's not even like good lies. You know what I mean? Like, Stacey, you could have said, oh, his flight is in an hour or two. But she said, oh, she flew back in. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So then Stacey tries to flip it around on Tia because Wendy's like, Tia said that you're the only person that you feel comfortable with, meeting your husband. And Stacey goes, Tia, I don't appreciate you causing a rift between me and Wendy, and I actually regret you meeting. Oh, Stacey, really, girl? Really, girl? So, of course, Tia's like, you are full of it. And Tia, you are right. She is full of it. So they hang up with her. They go back to her dinner. Anyway, now let's go over to the Reasonably Shady event. Now, Robin decides not to show up because she feels the way that she got fired. That's basically in a sense. Because Jizzy was like, well, Robin feels a way about how she left the group. Basically, Robin got fired. But when you think about Robin, like, what did Robin, after the whole Juan thing, what did Robin really bring to the show other than being Gizelle's psychic? Like, when you saw Robin, you just saw her as Gizelle's psychic. Like, please tell me what this woman brought to the show. I didn't think that she was bringing anything to the show after the whole Juan thing was over. She had her wedding special on the show. That was good. But I really didn't think Robin brought anything. I don't dislike Robin. She just was not interested to watch. Like, I remember sometimes fast forwarding her scene. She just seemed very dry. I'm not trying to be mean. Anyway, so if I was Giselle, I would feel away. Because if you're supposed to be my ace boon coon, at least show up and be there for me. And just like, even if it's for like 20 minutes and be like, hey girl, love you, gotta leave. Just be there. It's a podcast that you both created. So now you got one half of the person there representing. I didn't think that was so cool. I just didn't think that was cool. Anyway, so it looked like a cute event. Then we have Cookie is there, and then we have Stacey. So basically, this scene is just calling out Stacey. So basically they say to Stacey, you are an old snake because you call Chris Samuels right. And then here's Stacey. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. It's always, I don't know what you're talking about. Did you or didn't you not call Chris Samuels and basically say everything that y'all talked about when y'all was having your girls moment? Yes or no? Like, she could never answer a question very straight. And then Tia basically said to her, you know what, I was interested in a friendship with you, but I'm no longer interested in a friendship with you because you're a liar. You're a liar. You said your husband was going to be flying out of town, and then I called you, and then you're like, oh, he flew back into town. And then Stacey tried to deflect. Stacey is the queen of deflection. She tried to deflect and talk about something else. No, we're talking about the fact that you lied about your husband, or your boyfriend, husband, or whatever, flying in and out of town. Like, so Stacey is so frustrating. And so Keiarna got in there and said, Keiarna basically was like, I don't trust you. I wouldn't trust you around my husband. Well, Stacey did have to come back. She did. Now, listen, at the end of the day, Stacey is a lot, but she is from Detroit. She knows how to hold on. And Stacey was like, you don't have a husband. Ooh, I know that shut Keiarna up real quick. That shut Keiarna up real quick. Then we have Cookie, where, now let me tell you something. I am surprised about Stacey's about it. Stacey's all quirky and but she's about it. Because as Stacey's talking to Cookie, when Cookie's trying to check Stacey, she's pointing her finger at Cookie's face, and Cookie's like, don't point your finger over here. Stacey, who is standing on business. I mean, Stacey will stand on business even when she's wrong. She said, and what are you going to do if I point my finger? As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me come over there and point my finger in your face. Now, I did respect that. I respected that a little bit. Because I'm like, wow, Stacey, you about to go up against Cookie, but you're still wrong, Stacey. You're still wrong. You're still a snake. You're still wrong. But I low-key respect that. I said, okay, Stacey. Okay, I see you. Listen, that was the end of the show. I think all the girls are right about Stacey. I think Stacey is deflects. I think she's a backstabber. I always try to give her a benefit of doubt, especially when she talked about, they were really divorced and they doubted her. And then TMZ came out and said she is really divorced. They had the paperwork to prove it. And then I was like, okay, you know what? They need to lay off Stacey. And then you got Wendy trying to have Stacey's back. Thank God Monique said you need to have some discernment. You know what? Stacey is exactly who people think she is. She is the type of girl. She's not a girl's girl. She's the type of girl that will sit up in your face, have deep conversations with you, smile in your face, and turn around and call your man and tell him what you told him about. She is the kind of girl where if you tell her you have a business idea, before you even have gone to file for the LLC, she got a different version of the business that you told her about. That is the competitor type of friend. Oh, by the way, at the end of this video, I'm going to put a link of the types of friends that drain you. Stacey is the competitor. Watch that video. Stacey is the competitor. I would never be friends with a girl like Stacey. And she will look in your face and gaslight you and say, well, what are you talking about? Well, I don't know what you mean. Gaslighter. Gaslighter. Can't wait to see the next episode. Anyway, bye, y'all.